Amazon is getting harder in 2025. Competition is up, margins are lower, and the days of easy wins, they're simply just gone. But here's the thing. While most sellers are out there struggling to make sales each and every month, there are some sellers who know how to stand out and are thriving more than ever. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to position your Amazon business so that you don't just survive and you can actually thrive in your Amazon business. If you haven't seen me before, my name is Davy, and I've been selling on Amazon now for around about 5 years. I've done millions and millions of pounds worth of sales through Amazon. I've got a full team of staff, a warehouse, and pretty much a full systemized Amazon business. So I know a thing or two about selling on Amazon. So first things first, why is Amazon getting harder in 2025? Well, the be all and end all of it is competition is higher. This means that you have to be different. You cannot just be doing the same as every single other seller. Otherwise, you're just going to end up on the same flooded listings. Your margins are just going to get tighter and tighter. The price volatility is going to be all over the place, and you're going to be buying and sourcing products that typically will last 1, 2, 3 months, and you're not going to be able to build any stability in your Amazon business, and you're always just going to be constantly chasing that next deal. And it's going to be a cat and mouse situation where you're just constantly chasing the next revenue. But why is this a good thing for sellers like myself? Well, the first reason is that it shows and demonstrates that the market is significantly growing. There's more and more Amazon sellers being created on a daily basis. There's more and more products being listed, and honestly, I'm still coming across products now on a daily basis that I've never even seen or heard of in my life. So the market is forever growing, which means that the opportunity now is bigger than it's ever been before. So if you really learn and understand how to actually play the game properly and understand how to grow your Amazon business in a sustainable way, competition and the fact that Amazon is growing is such a good thing. So why do most sellers fail? Well, the main reason why most sellers fail is simply because they do not know how to source products properly. And they end up sourcing low quality, low barrier to entry products that just aren't sustainable. They have super high competition, big price volatility, and again, it just goes into this cat and mouse situation. What a lot of people end up doing is, and it's not their fault, this is how they're taught, but they will go onto Google, they'll try find a wholesaler or a distributor. Basically their approach is they'll find the wholesaler or the distributor or the supplier first. The problem with doing it this way is it's just like finding a needle in a haystack. If you're just going onto Google or LinkedIn or trying to find a distributor that way, there's no real intention behind you finding the supplier, right? You're just going out there trying to find a supplier that potentially might have a product. And what ends up happening is you're doing the same method as everybody else. So when you're going on Google trying to find products or LinkedIn trying to find suppliers, you're simply going to be coming across the same suppliers, the same distributors, the same brands, the same wholesalers as everybody else. Which means that you're getting these accounts open, you may get a price list with 1,000, 2,000, sometimes even like 5,000, 10,000 products. You spend hours and hours and hours just traipsing through that price list, just trying to find a product that's actually going to stick. You're just simply trying to find a needle in a haystack. And even when you end up finding the product, it's typically going to be low margin anyway. There is going to be a high amount of competition because you're just doing the same thing as everybody else. And by doing the same thing as everybody else, it basically means that you've got no competitive advantage in your Amazon business. Whereas the higher level Amazon sellers who are actually thriving in this market are basically crafting themselves a competitive advantage. And they're doing things that other people aren't doing. They're going to lengths that other people aren't willing to go to, which in turn means that they're finding better quality suppliers, better quality products, which also in turn means that they're making better margin. They're able to withstand these listings a lot longer, and there's a lot less price volatility, and they can actually create a sustainable Amazon business. And that is really the reason why most Amazon sellers fail. And it's just because they don't understand the fundamentals of, first of all, what actually makes a good product, and second of all, how to actually go about the process of finding, approaching, and opening accounts with good quality suppliers. And they're simply just settling for low barrier to entry, easy accessible suppliers that every Joe Blogs can get. So what does it actually take to stand out from 99% of other Amazon sellers? And what do you actually have to do to be able to thrive in Amazon? Well, step number one, the first thing before you do anything else is you've really got to understand the key components of what makes a successful Amazon business. In short, it comes down to 3 key pillars. Now, these 3 key pillars are, in my opinion, the core foundation of any successful Amazon business. And anybody who has tried Amazon, they've started it, they've maybe got a little bit of traction, but they're struggling to scale, or maybe people who have tried it and failed, it's likely that they don't have these three key pillars actually locked down and they've not really mastered them. And this might be because they don't understand the skill set or the process, or it might just be that they don't even understand what they need to do. So the three key pillars are, first of all, sourcing a good product. Okay, so we will take a different approach to a lot of Amazon sellers, and we will always find and validate the product on Amazon first. So all of our products go through a strict validation process to ensure that basically we're not sourcing what I call low quality, lower barrier to entry products that, again, every Tom, Dick and Harry is going to be sourcing. The second pillar is actually being able to convert that product into a trade account. So it's actually going to the brand directly, or maybe being passed on to a distributor, and actually opening that account with the supplier. Again, if you actually source the product well in the first place, you're not typically going to be going for super low barrier to entry, easy, accessible accounts. These accounts that you are contacting and approaching, they are going to give you objections. They are going to give you rejection. And to be honest, 80 to 90 to probably 95% of Amazon sellers do not know what to do when they get faced rejection by a supplier. A lot of people will end up just moving on and just doing more and more and more inquiries. So what ends up happening is most Amazon sellers will just move on to the next inquiry, and the only real trade accounts that they actually get open are going to be lower quality and lower barrier to entry. Whereas what the great Amazon sellers do is they actually understand why they're getting rejected, why they are getting objections, and what objections they're actually being faced, and they learn how to overcome these objections. That basically allows them to get good quality trade accounts, right? And ultimately get good quality trade accounts that other people aren't getting. And that is really the key there. Getting quality trade accounts that other sellers aren't able to obtain is going to give you a competitive advantage. So you've really got to learn and understand how to communicate with these suppliers well. How to, first of all, understand their objections, and then second of all, how to actually overcome them, and how to convert that into a successfully opened trade account. So that's step number 2, is actually learning how to contact brands and master the art of communicating with brands. Now, the third pillar, which is arguably most important when you are doing brand direct, this is negotiations, okay? It's definitely not the hardest skill to learn, but I would say it's arguably probably the most important. It's something I see a lot of people just simply just doing wrong, or not even doing it at all. Like, I've spoken to Amazon sellers who have scaled to like 40, 50K a month without ever negotiating a single product, which to me seems crazy, but again, it just shows that there are a lot of people out there who aren't maximizing their potential. When it comes to negotiating with suppliers, you really want to understand that when you're dealing with brands directly, I'd probably say 50, 60% of the time that you actually find a product, you will go through the process of opening the account, you'll handle the objections with the supplier, you'll get sent the price list through, and at the point you get sent the price list through, it'll probably be break even, or you might be making 5% margin or something like that. Which at this point, a lot of people get really bummed out, they don't know how to deal with it, and they think that there's just no potential in that account. Whereas you can turn a bad account to a fucking great account just by simply negotiating, right? A lot of people simply will just negotiate based on volume, and they'll think that that's the best way to do it, which arguably to an extent is objectively right. Like, you do have to give volume to negotiate prices, but there is a lot more depth to negotiations than a lot of people understand. It's more of a psychological game, and it's understanding how you can communicate with these suppliers, build that know, like, and trust factor, add perceived value to actually be able to get better prices than your competition. Because again, it's all about crafting this competitive advantage. So those are the 3 key pillars that make a successful Amazon business. So that's step number 1, that you really need to understand those things to be able to actually stand out as an Amazon seller. So if you are currently an Amazon seller, whether you're doing retail and online arbitrage, you're doing wholesale, or you may be looking to get into the Amazon space, go to the description of this video where you can book in a call with myself and my team, and we'll basically just have a little bit of an informal conversation about what it is you're doing at the moment, what it is you want to achieve, and ultimately whether or not we can help you. If we can't help you, we'll simply just tell you there and then on the call, and I promise you, you'll always leave the call better off than when you started. So if you've been thinking that you really want to take your Amazon business to the next level, or you really just want to start an Amazon business in general, just go to the description of this video now and book in a call, and we'll chat soon. So the next thing that you can do as an Amazon seller to really stand out amongst the crowd is really understand what you do as a business. Now, what I mean by this is when you are contacting suppliers and when you are opening up trade accounts, you need to be compelling. You need to be trustworthy. You need to come across as legitimate. So getting in all of your business foundations and your business fundamentals and truly understanding who you are, why you started the business, and having a compelling story when you contact suppliers is going to be essential for you to get good quality trade accounts open. And again, that's something that 99% of Amazon sellers just simply do not do. So if you really spend time just sitting down before you just jump in and contact these suppliers, really understand what you're going to say to them, what you do as a business. When they ask you what you do as a business, or who do you supply to, or do you sell on Amazon, when you get faced with these objections, you really want to have a good, compelling case and argument to actually be able to overcome these objections. The next thing you can do to stand out against 99% of Amazon sellers is just simply pick up the phone, okay? Now, seems super simple, and you might be thinking, Jack, that's obvious, but I can assure you 95% of Amazon sellers just do not pick up the phone. I can say this firsthand because me, myself, was very afraid of making inquiries via phone call in the early days. I had a subconscious fear of rejection, which ultimately made me email suppliers instead. But you are going to get a significantly lower conversion rate in opening accounts if you email versus picking up the phone. So what I'd recommend doing to stand out versus 99% of Amazon sellers is just to pick up the phone. Make the inquiry. It's never as bad as you think. Understand and appreciate that you are going to have some bad phone calls, you are going to have some awkward conversations, but after 20, 30, 40, 50 phone calls, you're really going to start to find your rhythm, and you're really going to understand how to actually navigate these phone calls, how to structure them, what kind of typical objections you're going to get. Ultimately, you're going to get good at opening up trade accounts. So just remove any limiting beliefs you have, try get rid of that fear of rejection, and just pick up the phone. Now, the next thing that you can do is just be patient and understand that this takes time. Now, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? Anybody who gets into Amazon thinking they're going to make £1 million within the next month is completely wrong, okay? A lot of people have this skewed perception and expectations, really, when they start their Amazon business, that they're just going to be able to jump in, they're going to be able to make money from day one. They're not really going to have to put that much time, effort, and energy into it, and it's just going to be smooth sailing. Whereas it couldn't be further from the opposite, okay? Regardless, whether you start an Amazon business or any business in general, it is going to be hard. You need to put blood, sweat, and tears into that business. You need to put dedication. You need to be persistent. And overall, you just need to be consistent. Just doing the action on a daily basis for 2, 3, 4, 5 months will get you the result. But I can promise you now, a lot of people will try and they will give up within the first 2 months. Without not seeing results at the first hurdle, the second hurdle, they'll simply just give up and say, Amazon FBA doesn't work, or Amazon FBA is a scam, when in reality, they probably just haven't had the right strategies or the right guidance, and they just haven't given it enough time. They have quit at the first roadblock, they've quit at the first hurdle, and they will just move on to the next business model where they'll end up quitting in 2 to 3 months anyway. And the saying goes, the grass is always greener, right? But the grass is not always greener. You just have to stay consistent, be persistent at what it is you're doing, and the results will come. And genuinely, just by being consistent for 6 months will set you apart from 99% of the crowd. Now, the final thing I will say to stand out from most other Amazon sellers is think long term, okay? When you get the right strategy and when you start implementing the right processes, one account can genuinely transform your Amazon business, especially in the early days. Like if you're just starting out Amazon or you're doing like less than 20K per month in sales, getting one new brand direct trade account could genuinely change your Amazon business. I worked out the other day that we have X amount of suppliers, and ongoing, our suppliers on average generate us £10,000 in revenue per supplier, okay? Now, some of them will do a lot more than 10,000, some of them will do a bit less than 10,000, but on average, each of my suppliers will give me £10,000 a month in revenue. So if you translate that into your business, if you just get one account that can give you £10,000 a month in revenue, and you only get one account per month for the next 12 months, you've created yourself a 7-figure Amazon business. And A lot of people think they're not getting 5 trade accounts open per week, that it's a bad thing. Whereas if you just focus on getting a really good quality account open, you really double down on your strategy, you don't actually need that many accounts to grow your Amazon business. Like I was speaking to one of my students the other day, actually last night, in fact, on one of the community calls, and he's just acquired, I think about 3 months ago now, has acquired a brand direct account that has done £22,000 in revenue over the past 30 days at about, I think it's about 17 to 20% profit margin. So that one trade account is basically netting anywhere from £3,000 to £4,000 per month in profit, right? Which just truly shows, even if that account takes you 3 months to get, 2 months to get, 4 months to get, it can genuinely change and really like propel your business in a big way. So those are the things that I would do to stand out amongst 99% of Amazon sellers. And I truly believe once you have the right strategy, if you're consistent with it, you can genuinely just dominate the Amazon market. The opportunities are endless and the market is forever going. Thank you for watching the video. Peace.